We made eye contact, and you know what that means? A Pokemon fact video. Hey guys, Lucky Sean here. Welcome to Professor Bulba's third random fact video. Today's main focus is an age-old question. Is Exeggcute a group of eggs or seeds? Let's HMO1 right to it. We shall start off by exploring Pokedex entries, and then take a look at what the anime has to say. Although they are of different canons, we might as well include this information, although the anime's interpretation will not act as conclusive evidence. Looking over the Pokedex entries, it is hard to distinguish exactly if it is an egg or a seed. The entries seem to contradict themselves, so let's take a look at the entries by generations chronologically to crack down on the matter. Okay, no more yolks, I promise. Pokemon Red and Blue says, it is often mistaken for eggs. When disturbed, they gather quickly and attack in swarms. Alright, so this implies that they are not actually eggs. Pokemon Stadium tells us Exeggcute is a Pokemon that is like the seeds of a plant. If you find one and chase it, others will join it without you noticing. This also suggests that it is more seed than egg-like. As for that last part, I suddenly have the urge to chase Exeggcute around to see how many would join the chase. Seems like a terrible survival strategy if you ask me. Generation 2 has no significant entries that speak to either side. The gold entry says, the shell is very durable, even if it cracks, it can survive without spilling the contents. This can be interpreted in many ways, but note that the outer layer of a seed is also considered to be a shell. As for the spilling of contents, this would suggest that the contents are finite, or even liquid, if the possibility of spilling is there. That could be taken as yolk, or the liquid contents of a seed like you'd find in pomegranates. The entry is rather ambiguous, so no points will be awarded to either side. Generation 3 gives mixed reviews. Ruby and Sapphire says, this Pokemon consists of 6 eggs that form a closely knit cluster. The 6 eggs attract each other and spin around. When cracks increasingly appear on the eggs, Exeggcute is close to evolution, which seems to heavily lean towards the idea that they are eggs. As for the last part of the entry regarding the cracks, does it mean that if it is near a leaf stone, it begins to crack? Weird. Fire Red says, even though it appears to be eggs of some sort, it was discovered to be a life form more like plant seeds. And Leaf Green complements this idea of them being seeds by adding, they're often mistaken for eggs. Seems like different regions have different ideas. Generation 4 has nothing conclusive to add. Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum call them 6 eggs, and Soul Silver and Heart Gold only repeat their Generation 2 entries. Uncreatively, Generation 5 just copies Gen 4's entry with its 6 eggs converse using telepathy. Again, they're suggesting they are eggs. Let's take a look at a couple more pieces of evidence before we make our conclusion. You don't have to consider this evidence if you are a hardcore canon connoisseur. The anime says, Exeggcute, an egg Pokemon. Although it resembles an egg, it is known to be more closely related to the seed of a plant. In Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Exeggcute say, Exeggcute, Exeggcute, translated to mean, don't make fun of us because we look like eggs. So, they aren't eggs. They just look like them? These last 2 pieces of evidence are perhaps the most vital pieces. Let's take a look at its species classification. Exeggcute species is an egg Pokemon. Only Chansey and Exeggcute share this classification. And just for comparison's sake, Bulbasaur, for instance, is categorized under the species of a seed Pokemon. What's Togepi, you may ask? A spike ball Pokemon. Whatever that means. Upon evolution, Exeggcute evolves into Exeggutor, and is then considered a coconut species. From my own understanding, it is seeds that turn into plants. But mind you, if Exeggcute are indeed seeds, they must first come from some sort of Pokemon egg. The last bit of evidence that will be evaluated will be the etymology of its name. Exeggcute, or Tama in Japanese, comes from 2 words, Tama meaning sphere, and Tamago meaning egg. So putting those 2 words together, we get sphere egg. Egg sphere. That doesn't really answer any of my questions. From all the evidence we gathered, it is hard to conclusively say what came first, the seed or the egg. Professor Bulba is leaning towards the idea of them being eggs, based on the notion of them being like the seeds of a plant, and often mistaken as eggs. Personally, because it's a Pokemon, I think it's just an egg-shaped animal. Obviously, comes from an egg, which the birthing of an Exeggcute from an egg would probably be very funny to watch. What about you guys? What do you think? Eggs or seeds? This wraps up another of Professor Bulba's random fact videos. This has been Lucky Sean, and before I go, I leave you with the question that could perhaps put an end to this debate. Would a vegetarian eat an Exeggcute? I mean, a vegan wouldn't, but I don't know if you consider those people.